One of the most common questions I get asked is, hey, Azul, how am I doing? I've got this much saved. How does that compare to others, and how does that compare to how much you think I should have saved by this age? So let's jump in and let's start off with what the average American family has saved for retirement. And you can see this is from the Wall Street Journal, but the data is from the Federal Reserve, their survey of consumer finance. And you can see almost half of all Americans have $0 saved for retirement. And if we go all the way up to $100,000, which is the $50,000 to $99,000, if we aggregate that up, it's almost 80% of all American families have under $100,000 saved. But this is retirement savings. So this is like a 401k account, an IRA account, things like that. So how about outside of that? How about just your overall net worth, which is the value of everything that you own, less the value of all the debt that you owe on that? So for most of us, it would be the value, the home equity value in our house, what the house is worth, less the debt, plus probably our car and our car loan, plus all of our retirement savings. So if we do that, again, data from the Federal Reserve, you can see people 35 years old, half the people have less, half the people have more, which is what the median is. You can see here it's just under $40,000, $39,000. From 35 to 44, it's a little over $135,000, their total net worth, $135,600. 45 to 54, you can see that's a little under $250,000, $247,200. 55 to 64, it's a little less than $365,000, $364,500. And now we're getting into when most people are retiring. 65 to 74, it's a little under $410,000. And then at 75 and above, you start seeing people's assets go down. Now, interestingly, between 55, 64 and 65 to 74, the assets continue to go up, which is something fairly common. It takes a while. Early when you retire, you have the most assets. So it's not uncommon to see that net worth climb for a few years and then start to go down. And you can see 75 and above, it's a little under a third. So that's the median. But what about the 75th percentile? What about the people that are in the top quartile of all Americans? This data is from Kiplinger's, and you can see by age again, the 75th percentile, the people in the top quartile. Under 35, they have 153,000. 35 to 44, they have 415,000. 45 to 54, they have 800,000. That's getting to be fairly substantial. 55 to 64, it's a little over 1 million, 1.1 million, and then it kind of levels off. 65 to 74, it basically stays at that 1.1 million, and then 75 and above goes to almost $1 million, a little less now. It's starting to be spent down, and it's 975,000. Now, what about people in the top 10%? These are the top 10% of all Americans. If you're in either one of these categories, even if you're in the median category, you should feel really good about yourself. Okay, the top 10%, the 90th percentile, under 35, those young people have almost $400,000, 372. 35 to 44, they have a little over $1 million. 45 to 54, they have about $2 million. People 55 to 64 have just under $3 million. So if you're close to $3 million and you're getting close to retirement, that puts you in the top 10% by a net worth standpoint, which again would include the value, the home equity value of your home. 65 to 74, you can see it flattens out there, stays at about 3 million, and then 75 and above, just like with the other categories, starts going down right at $2.7 million. So, you know, it's one thing how much money you save, but it's another thing on how long you need to plan. So another common question I get asked is, you know, what is the life expectancy for an average American at the age of 65? You can see here, and this data is from the Capital Group in the American Academy of Actuaries and Society of Actuaries. It's a little dated, it's from 2021. But this type of data doesn't change much year to year. So you can see for men When we're 65 years old, we have a 50% chance of making it to 84. That's kind of scary, right? That's not a lot of time, which is why I talk about if you're 60 years old, most of us have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy active time. So making decisions like this, making decisions on saving and when we retire are super important. You can see men at 65 have a 25% chance of making it just over 90 to 91. The women that are watching, you're in a slightly better situation than the men. You have a 50% chance of making it to 87 and a 25% chance of making it to 93. And if you're in a couple with opposite genders, you can see at age 65, there's a 50% chance that one of you are going to make it to 91, and almost there is a 25% chance that you almost make it to 100, to 96. So that's a lot of time of life, but as I said, it's also being able to do things, to be active, to have your mental acuity, to have energy. And that's why I want to share this next chart with you, which is from the World Health Organization. And this shows the chart of how long Americans and also other countries until we have a major health issue. We get a cancer diagnosis, we have a stroke, heart attack, cardiovascular disease, something like that. And you can see in the top countries here, you know, Japan, Singapore, and Korea, they're over 73 years old. So if they retire at 65, they have 8 years in retirement on average until they have a health issue. Switzerland, Cyprus, Israel, Spain, France, they're right at 70, a little over 72 years old. France, Iceland, Italy, same thing, basically 72 years old. But unfortunately here in the US, it's 66.1 years old. So that's just 13 months after when the average American retires at the age of 65. So we need to be thoughtful and deliberate about when we retire. So let's look at when the average American retires. You can see here, 40 to 44 years old, there's not many of us that are retired then, 1%. 45 to 49, you can see it's 2%. 50 to 54, it's a little over 5%, it's 6% of people. And that's what I call really the beginning zone of early retirement. 55 to 59 is when a lot of early retirees choose to retire. It's a little over 10% at 11%. 60 to 64, it's about a third of people. 65 to 69, now we're really starting to see the numbers increase. 70% of us are retired in that age group. Almost 85% of us retired from 70 to 74, and then 75 plus, it's 88%. And I suspect the majority of those folks that are still working, it's just because they love to work. I hope that's the case. But it's interesting to see that Goldman Sachs says that 56% of Americans retired sooner than they desired. And you can see here, significantly 56% reported retiring earlier than planned. Almost half of those were due to reasons out of their control, such as health issues, 23%, losing a job, 11%, or caring for family members, 9%, which reduces our time to save. So thinking about how much we have saved, videos like this are really important. And on that, I want to share with you what Fidelity says we should have saved by our age. So by the time we're 35, we should have 2 times our salary saved. By the time we're 45, Fidelity says we should have 4 times our salary saved. By the time we're 55, it's 7 times. By the time we're 60, getting to that early retirement age, it's 8 times our salary saved. And then by the time we're 67, it's 10 times. So if you and your spouse are making $100,000 a year, Fidelity would say you should, by the time you're 67, have 10 times that saved. So there's the financial side, which is what we've been talking about, retirement. But then there's also the enjoying life and taking full advantage, squeezing all the juice. That's why I'm closing my hand here. Squeezing all the juice out of life, out of the youth of our senior years. And that's why I made this video here. Why waiting to 65 might be a big mistake. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.